In the summer of 2021, two young travelers hit the open road, chasing freedom, adventure, and the perfect story to share with the world. Their journey looked like a dream. The open sky, the van, the love, the promise of endless roads ahead. But behind those filtered smiles and sunlit moments, something was unraveling, quietly and fatally. By the time the world realized what was really happening, it was already too late. This is the story of Gabby Petito, a story of love, control, and the darkness that can hide behind a perfect picture. Before the headlines, before the searches, Gabby Petito was just a girl with a camera and a dream. Born in Blue Point, New York, she grew up surrounded by family, friends, and a deep love for creativity. She painted, she wrote, she filmed, always chasing the beauty in ordinary moments. Gabby wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing freedom, to see new places, meet new people, and turn her life into a story worth sharing. Her social media became her diary, full of laughter, sunsets, and snapshots of a life in motion. And in those early clips, one face appeared again and again: Brian Laundrie. Together, they dreamed of a life on the road, a van, a map, and nothing but endless possibilities ahead. But dreams can be fragile, and sometimes what looks like love can hide something far more dangerous. Gabby met Brian Laundrie in high school back in New York. At first, it seemed like the start of something simple. Two young people drawn together by art, by travel, by the idea of escaping the ordinary. When Brian's family later moved to Florida, their bond only grew stronger. Soon, Gabby followed, leaving home, ready to start a new chapter by his side. Together, they planned a life of freedom. A white van, a few cameras, and a promise to see every corner of America. They called it their van life, part adventure, part love story. Online, they looked inseparable, smiling in every frame, sunlit and carefree. But close friends later recalled the cracks, quiet arguments, long silences, moments when Gabby seemed anxious or withdrawn. In the videos, you see perfection, but behind the lens, something fragile was already beginning to break. In July 2021, Gabby and Brian finally set out. They were two young dreamers, and they had a white van and the open road ahead of them. They documented everything, from the sunsets to the laughter and the freedom of the van life they had imagined for months. They did it from the beaches of Florida to the deserts of Utah. Their Instagram feed was a travel diary, curated, beautiful, and endlessly admired. To their followers, it looked perfect. Two souls chasing adventure, untouched by the world's chaos. Perfection is a performance. The spaces between posts tell a different story. Messages went unanswered. Friends noticed the tension. In some clips, Gabby's smile seemed forced, a little tighter, a little more fragile. The journey that once felt like escape was now a cage. To anyone watching, it was undoubtedly a dream, but behind the filters, something was breaking. August 12th, 2021, a call to 911 reports a couple arguing on the side of the road near Moab, Utah. When police arrive, they find the white van, and inside, Gabby and Brian. Body cam footage would later show the moment the world first saw them, not as a happy couple, but as something else. Gabby, visibly shaken, tries to explain through tears.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, some days I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him, I just like...
Brian, calm, detached. She blames herself, apologizes again and again, the way people do when they've learned that peace means silence. To the officers, it looked like a minor dispute. They decided to separate the couple for the night, hoping things would cool down. But what no one realized was that this stop wasn't just an interruption in their trip. It was a warning, a glimpse into a relationship that was already collapsing, quietly, dangerously, and on camera. In fact, everything would start after that and turn into a big murder that could not be prevented in any way. After Moab, something changed. Their posts became fewer, their smiles harder to read. Captions turned short, almost mechanical, and behind the perfect landscapes, something was clearly slipping away. Friends noticed the silence first. Texts went unanswered. Calls were missed. When messages did come through, some didn't sound like Gabby at all. The tone, the wording, just off. To the outside world, it looked like the trip was still going strong, but digital traces were telling a different story, one of distance, control, and growing fear. Somewhere on those endless desert roads, Gabby Petito was fading from view, and the world hadn't noticed yet. By early September, the road trip had reached its conclusion, at least for one of the parties involved. On the 1st of September, Brian Laundrie returned to Florida, alone. They were traveling in the same white van that had transported them across the country. However, there was no sign of Gabby. There are no posts, no calls. There is no explanation provided. Her family made several attempts to contact her, but unfortunately, they did not receive any response. The days passed, and with them came mounting dread. Then came the realization that every parent fears. Gabby was not absent due to being preoccupied with other commitments. Unfortunately, she was not present as something had gone wrong. Brian remained silent. He declined to cooperate with the police. Instead, he instructed a lawyer. For the first time, the world began to ask the question that would haunt this case: where is Gabby Petito? On September 19, 2021, after weeks of searching, hoping, and waiting, a body was found near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. It was discovered in a quiet, remote area, not far from where Gabby's van had last been seen. 2 days later, the FBI confirmed what everyone had feared. The remains belonged to Gabby Petito. She was 22 years old. The autopsy revealed the cause of death, strangulation. It was ruled a homicide. In that moment, the road trip that had once symbolized freedom became a story of loss, one that shook an entire nation. In a quiet stretch of Wyoming wilderness, the search ended, but the questions had only begun. When the world learned that Gabby Petito was gone, it didn't just become news, it became a phenomenon. Across TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, everywhere, people began to investigate. Tens of thousands of strangers who had never met Gabby were suddenly piecing together her life, her timeline, her last days. Clips from the police body cam were slowed down and re-uploaded millions of times. Users claimed to spot hidden bruises, nervous gestures, coded messages. On Reddit, entire subforums appeared overnight, digital war rooms where theories grew faster than facts. People compared Instagram posts by the minute, tracking location data, analyzing shadows to guess when each photo was taken. Some believed Brian was innocent. Others believed the truth was hidden in plain sight, somewhere in the pixels. And for a moment, the line between empathy and entertainment blurred completely. People cried for Gabby, but they also refreshed their feeds, waiting for the next clue. It was a true crime story unfolding in real time. Millions watching, speculating, sharing. And as the noise grew louder, the man at the center of it all, Brian Laundrie, disappeared. His parents told police he had gone for a hike in a nearby nature reserve. He left his phone, his wallet, his car, and just like that, he was gone. The internet that had spent weeks searching for Gabby now turned its focus toward finding Brian. But unlike social media theories, reality doesn't refresh every few seconds. And in this story, silence had already proven deadly. Gabby Petito's death didn't just spark grief. It sparked a reckoning across the country. Her story reignited conversations about domestic violence, about the quiet warning signs too often dismissed, and the countless victims whose stories never reached the headlines. But as the media storm grew, another question surfaced. Why this case? Why did one missing woman capture the world's attention, while so many others, women of color, indigenous women, went unnoticed? Critics called it the missing white woman syndrome, a pattern revealing how bias shapes whose lives and deaths we choose to care about. Through the noise, Gabby's family tried to turn their pain into purpose. They founded the Gabby Petito Foundation, advocating for missing persons and survivors of abuse, a legacy built not on tragedy, but on change. Because in the end, Gabby's story became more than a headline. It became a mirror, reflecting what society sees and what it still chooses to ignore. Gabby Petito's story began with a dream, the promise of freedom, love, and open roads stretching endlessly ahead. But it ended as a haunting reminder of how quickly love can become control and how silence can hide the deepest kind of pain. What happened to Gabby isn't just a tragedy, it's a reflection of something larger, of how easily we mistake picture-perfect moments for happiness, of how often we scroll past warning signs, believing that beauty means safety. Here on Veracity, we don't just tell stories to remember the past, we tell them to understand what they reveal about us, about empathy, trust, and the fragile distance between a dream and a disaster. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay kind, and never stop looking beneath the surface.